And now, here are your hosts, the Schnitzel Boys.
Yeah.
James Sands headed to Scotland, I believe.
Whoa, these two things saying in the same sentence is not. I don't think is appropriate. They had to.
What's your friend Keir say?
Well, we could talk this whole episode over about this because there was I went on a deep dive with him about, because there's a rumor. Okay, we'll unpack this hopefully semi shortly. So the rumor is that James Sands is going to Glasgow Rangers in Scotland, and then this Twitter beef erupted about how could we have a player by the name of Sands? And,
why? What's the story?
Well, I did not know any of this. There is a whole the rivalry between Celtic and Rangers is really based has a lot to do with Irish history.
Well, yeah, the story goes. I mean, a lot of people know this, but during the Great Potato Famine, the Irish with means went to American Canada. They went to New York and Boston. Mm-hmm. The Irish with less means went to Glasgow, and Edinburgh. That's where Hibernian's from, the Hibs, featuring one Chris Mueller from Orlando City, another transfer I forgot to mention. However, in Glasgow, the Irish founded Celtic, and that's a Catholic club, an Irish Catholic club, and Rangers, is a Protestant club. So that's why that rivalry is so fierce, because it's the Catholics versus the Protestants. Historically,
the Irish Scots versus the
Scots. And real quick, the first player who played for both clubs was named Mo Johnston, who later had a long and storied career here in the United States as a player and a coach. He was the coach of Kansas City maybe for a bit. He was a technical director in Toronto for a long time. I couldn't tell you what he's up to these days, but he, after all that crap, he skipped and jumped over here to the United States and was a U.S. figure. But previously, he was the first, I think, Rangers player who transferred to Celtic, which is not uncommon anymore. Like, that happens now, but back then, that was a big deal.
Yeah, definitely. There's been, but anyway, the Bobby Sands, the IRA activist, who was a very prominent person.
This is a deep dive. I know very little about the IRA.
We're not gonna. Yeah, he went on hunger strike and died in order to, to fight for the unification of Ireland, and was on a hunger strike and died in prison. And his name was Bobby Sands, and apparently he comes up even now, like with Rangers sort of derisively, kind of Rangers fans singing songs about how Bobby Sands should eat his chicken dinner, or
that's sad.
Things that. And so he's, like the Celtic fans hold him in higher regard. The Rangers fans think of him as a terrorist, and
James Sands should go to Celtic with CCV, is what you're saying.
So he should really go. Yeah, if among those two clubs, it would be more natural for him with the name of Sands to be playing for Celtic. So there was some Twitter beef erupted there, and cultures were colliding, and it was obviously nothing good came of it. But I think, aside from all of that, I do not think Rangers is a good destination for the guy from Rye. I think he should set his sights perhaps a little higher. I don't know. The Scottish League is more of a lateral move, maybe, compared to MLS.
But yes, like for someone like Chris Mueller, going to Hibernian, or like Perry Kitchen went to Hearts. John Harkes' son, Ian Harkes, plays for Dundee United, I believe, or one of those. It's one of the Dundees, and but I think for Americans who play at Celtic or Rangers, with that comes Champions League / Europa League. So you get the Europa League season.
Right. That's true.
And also you're there. So if you're crushing for Celtic or Rangers, maybe you can get a Prem move there that way versus getting a Prem move from MLS. I'm not against the move. I think it's also, even though the Scottish League is what it is, The fans are there. The pressure's there. Promotion relegation is there. There's week in, week out pressure, and I think that in general, although I know people would disagree with me, I think is healthy to make a player more consistent. I think improve their consistency, and I think that's part of player development. I
think the counterpoint of that would be that in the Scottish League, after Celtic and Rangers, there's a big drop in terms of I think we've talked about this before. I think Celtic and Rangers would probably be contenders to win MLS, and everybody else would probably have a hard time in MLS.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to Europe again. Like, if he stays at NYCFC for a little while longer, I think that probably would work either way. I think it's just an adventure and a journey. I also would bet that he has no idea who Bobby Sands is. Maybe he does. I don't know. I don't know much about that stuff. And at the end of the day, I think it's just a Twitter spat. The reality is it doesn't matter. Like I said, players have played.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure Muslims have played for those clubs. I think I'm sure Jewish players. You know what I mean? The whole religious stuff. I think that's slowly but sure. That's just in the history books.
No, very. Yeah. Well, I think for a lot of Scottish fans, it's still very. It's still means something to them. I don't think it's. Yeah, I mean, this was just kind of like, well, this transfer, hunting down transfer rumors, you stumble upon unexpected.
I learned something.
Yeah,
today.
I learned a lot about. Exactly.
Today I learned.
Well, it's not in vain.
So James Sands to Rangers, which you're against because you want your Jimmy Sands, right?
Well, I also think this is not even close to a done deal. I think there's other teams interested, and I think there's. You said Daryl Dika to West Brom. That's official. He's going $9.5 million.
That's been signed, I think.
Yeah. That is that's happening, and so
Sands George Bello and James Sands are still rumors.
It's still very much up in the air. Yeah.
It's the Schnitzel Boys. It's the Schnitzel